There we go. Much better. Cool. So I think we actually got it working. Let's hit back to, there we go. Bam. So. All right. Beautiful. Now that I've got that going, let's go down here, make sure everything is working. Looks like we're doing good. Whoops. Watch your clicks, people. Okay. Let's do this. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so what I was saying there just a minute ago is this game here, Legacy of Darkness. Yeah, here you go. There's a nice look. You see my webcam's got a nice light on it. So this one, I don't have any real cool stories with, because I never had it. Well, like, not at the same time as I had the original Castlevania for Nintendo 64. This one was like a year or two later, and even then it was like 1 year after that I actually managed to see it in the video store. And I rented it, and I ended up playing it and beating it over the weekend, because, you know, like, I had already beaten the first one, so, like, the muscle memory is still really good. But this one's a little bit different than the first one. As you can see here, once I hit game start, I'll go on normal difficulty. So you've actually got 4 characters. Like, Cornell is on the left, Reinhardt's in the next to it, then it goes Carrie, and then there's another one that's named Henry, which is funny because Henry is a nod back to the villa. If you remember how in the last playthrough I was doing of the original Castlevania 64, if you check the gravestones, there's Orderai, which is the villa's the lord of the manor, his wife Mary, and then our beloved son Henry. While I believe in this one, it does a little bit better descriptions of the story itself, to where like you kind of like see the characters and like you get to interact with the characters. So as you're going through, eventually like you save Henry, and then like when you play as him, this is like later, because Cornell, you actually play as him, and then like we'll be seeing that here in a minute. But as you play as him, this is happening well before whatever happens with Reinhardt and Carrie. Both Reinhardt and Carrie's characters are quite a few years in the future after whatever happens with Cornell. And then after Reinhardt and Carrie's story, you go back as Henry. Because Henry was a kid, you save him, but then you, like, he comes back as an adult. 1 second. This is annoying. Allergies. It's the most I've talked in years, easily. So, when you come back as Henry, he has the exact same, like, skeletal rig as Reinhardt. It's literally the same body, but they put a helmet on him, so you can't, like, see his face. but every single animation is Reinhardt's animations, which is, you know, interesting. And you only play through like half of the game as Henry. That's you only play it through as half because he's got a pistol, which is whatever. It's funny. But Cornell is a werebeast, like he's a werewolf guy. And on the cover of this, I'm gonna get it back up to the camera so you can see. Let's see if I can get this right. That's a werewolf. Very clearly a werewolf on there, and you can't really tell, but he's standing on a skull. I'm sure if you Google search right now, Legacy of Darkness, you'll see a better picture of it than I can ever show you. So, you can turn into the werewolf. Like you like he's got the white hair, he's all, you know, like lean and handsome, you know, whatever. But you play through as Cornell. When you turn into the werewolf, it consumes your gems, like the sub-weapon fuel. So once you do that, you can't turn off the werewolf without running out of gems, at least to my knowledge. Now, this is like a bit of a weak flex, but it was more like a stupidity flex, because in the original game, in the button, the input mapping that shows you like the different control schemes, the L button does nothing. Like the left bumper, this one here, this bumper, not the trigger, but the bumper. The Nintendo 64 controller doesn't have the triggers on the back of it. It's only got the Z button on the back of where the analog stick is. So when you were holding it, like there's a whole other handle over here, like you could hold it from the sides or, you know, the middle. So there was no reason for you to let go and ever touch that button because the control pad did nothing either, which was basically par for the course for most games. And the interesting thing, not interesting actually, let me rephrase that. The annoying thing is that you play the game, most people aren't going to go through and look at the controls. I know I certainly don't. I genuinely don't. I'm like, I just hit buttons and see what does what. But I had played through the entirety of Castlevania 64, and that button does nothing. There is no map, there's no mini-map, there's no toggleable ability. You have a whip, you have a sub-weapon, you can crouch, you can go in first person, you can use items, and or it's a use item button. And then you can hit up that lets you go into first person, or like it switches the camera style, which all of them are just terrible. But there was never any other button. When you play this game as Cornell, to turn on your werewolf power, you have to hit the L button. I played through the whole fucking game, not knowing I could turn into the Wolfman. I just ran around in default form, throwing sub-weapons and collecting gems. I was at like 99 gems all the time. I had no idea you could do that. And I was so frustrated when I got to like the end boss. I got to Dracula, and I'm just sitting there like, why can't I turn into a werewolf? Because I was thinking like maybe it's something you can only do during boss fights, or like it's you have to, you know, like hit a certain button combination, or, you know, like Street Fighter style in order to turn into this wolf form. And I couldn't. And I'm sitting there like, what the hell is going on here? And I'm looking at the controller, I'm hitting the buttons, I'm making sure that they work. And when I was like hitting the buttons, I lifted my hand up, and I was just like, this is ridiculous. And I just like, I lifted the controller up and I smacked it. And I smacked the L button, and he's like, bleh, and turns into his wolf form. And I used up all of my gems before the Dracula fight. And that is pretty much the only real memory I have of playing that game. is that I got completely and utterly dunked on by the fact that I didn't look at the controls, and there, like, you saw me play the first one, okay? If you haven't, there's a VoD up. I'm gonna have some clips up here in the next day or so. I'm gonna go through it, but also YouTube, there's links on the page. You can go look at it, whatever. Moving on. Completely played through the entire game not knowing that I could go into like the ascended form, which is like, as Cornell, you can still pick up the crests, I'm pretty sure, and then you get the power-ups that let you be more powerful. But the wolf form is like, that's like ultimate. That's your limit break. You hit that and you are just slapping shit. You are beating ass. But, you know, it's costly because it costs you your gems or, you know, your hearts in Castlevania talk. But, yeah, played through the entirety of the game not knowing I could actually use that as a power. And there are quite a few fights in this game where, like, you really could use that ability. So, anyhow, let's get this show on the road. Also, this is one of the games that actually had the ability of being enhanced by the expansion pack. However, I've noticed that whenever I've played this game, like when you use the expansion pack on this game, if you have like a physical Nintendo 64, I do, and you have the expansion pack in there, the little red box that you put in the memory box, what ends up happening is the game will run better, even if you're not like putting it on the setting for whatever it's doing. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I might be. It's not gospel, but from what I have seen, the games tend to run better if you have that. But if you have a game like this one, for example, it asked me in the beginning of it, expansion pack enhanced. Would you like low resolution or high resolution? Anytime I have tried playing this physical copy and selecting high resolution, what ends up happening is it looks better. It's a lot cleaner. There's, you know, like the swirly colors and whatever works a lot better, but it chugs really, really bad. Much worse than it did before. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. This takes place well before. So we've got Madam Cool Hair, and we've got the Egad! He stabbed her right in the lady. But then she just disappears. Just despawned. Guy's got a real vendetta when you think about it, because like he legitimately just woke up. He just like flips up, and the first thing he does, he's like burning everything down. Burn it, don't care. It's so campy. No, my girlfriend. You know, realistically, if he was standing right next to a house that was on fire like that, his hair would be gone. That boy be sizzling.
Cornell, also known as Blue Crescent Moon. Through magic of the ancients, this man-beast warrior obtained a physical body of near immortality and a power that surpasses that of a wild beast.
Of near immortality and a power that surpasses that of a wild beast. Oh yeah, that's right. It's already narrating. I'll shut up.
Sealed away their enormous magical powers to prevent them from being used. However, through severe ascetic training, Cornell acquired the art for releasing the sealed man-wolf power. After a year of traveling and ascetic training, Cornell rushed back to his village, only to find that evil spirits had set the village on fire, engulfing the village in a lotus flower of flames. His only living blood relative, his sister Ada, was carried away by the evil spirits. Now, he must save her. Cornell uses the man-wolf's acute sense of smell to track the scent of his sister's blood. Reinhard Schneider, Carrie Fernandez. We go back 8 years in time, before the period in which these two young warriors risked their lives battling against the devil. Now, the truth that has been shrouded in the gloom of darkness will be revealed.
Which really is like, I think that's a really cool nod to the fact that like the first game existed, and like people probably wondering like, why are you releasing this again? Like, why? It's literally the same game. Why are you doing it twice? And it's like, you know, they're not gonna tell you the development hell it went through trying to get this damn thing out. And also, like, from the credits, like, that's a pretty small team of people. It's incredible to see the work that they were able to do. Here we go. So he's got a nice little shooty disc, or a laser beam. Then he can use his claws. He's a wolf man. And also, like, the lock-on and the cameras and stuff, like, they work a lot better in this. They're still terrible. Like, I will not get off of that. Like, they are still absolutely garbage. Lizard men look a lot better too. Objectively, the first one it's definitely worth playing. But I guess if you had to pick between the two, this one is definitely the superior version. The first one, it definitely is it has a special place in my heart, considering, you know, it's like I have the nostalgia for the game. And there's like that when you get the power up right there. The fact that you can hear a little like whoosh sound, and there's the, you know, the light that goes along with it. Like when you get extra power up, when you throw your sub weapons, they actually change their form too, which I thought was a really cool touch. Now is it? No, I have to climb up one more, I think. Oh my goodness. And the first secret, you just kind of walk over. There's nothing fantastic over here. It's just, you know, like some early items that make things a lot better. Oh, my mistake. When you get the power-up itself, it doesn't power up your sub-weapons. When you pick up the same sub-weapon a second time, or a third time, you can see that there's a number 1 next to the axe in the corner there. That means it's at level 1 and it'll just fling like normal. What I do remember, though, is that this first boss... Shit. The first boss in this game is awful. Like, it is not an easy fight. Just because it's real, like, obnoxious camera janky. There we go, and... Nope, not quite. However, in this version, they really, really ramped up the amount of nonsense you had to go through. And like now that I've climbed up to this top rack and I've gotten the deck key, now all of a sudden the lizard men are gonna spawn again, and this is where I gotta go. Skeleton elevator. I'm step on and go on now. Like, what a weird boat. You know, like it's just... Whoops. Well. Full of boxes of bones. And Cornell, between all of the characters that you can play as in this, he is the strongest. So, like, some of the bosses and stuff you go through, like, it's kind of tough. Like, he absolutely wrecks them. Like, his amount of power, from what I have seen playing this game, is so much more. Oh no! Oh no! Water's filling up! But like, it doesn't keep filling up, it just fills up to a certain point, and then it just sits here. Which is funny. I do appreciate it when you kill an enemy and they drop an item, because even if they've got like a death roll animation, like you can usually tell if you've killed an enemy, they drop a thing, and that's all you need to know. Boing, boing. Now let's hope that's the end of the freaking persistent annoying cough. And the music is way better in this too than the first one. Like the music that is there is a lot better. So I've got 2 chicken and some beef. So this is the one I'm talking about. You walk through this and then it's like... Rawr, slam. Then he explodes you up in the air, and it's just such an annoying boss fight because the camera controls itself, and you don't really have any option in it, and like you will break the platforms. Uses his snot bubbles and keeps you on the ground. Like, he slams you down, it hurts. Well, that was the easiest I've ever killed that boss, so thankfully I did it on stream where there's proof. So I absolutely messed him up. Oh yeah, right, there's beef and chicken in there. Now once we save here, different enemies too. Like, there was a lot of enemies that they didn't actually get to finish, or like if they were in the other one. There we go, and now I feel cool. Get out of here. Funny because these bricks, they always reminded me of, like, you remember like the old school the ice cube trays, the ones that are literally like just a tic-tac-toe board, but it's metal. You fill up a tray, then you just like set it in there like it's the metal ones. It's always reminded me of those. Route. And here we are. Here's the door with the crest. So it's like this whole area. Like, I wonder if you can no clip, like be able to like do the thing where they make Link fly in those the Zelda hack videos or whatever. If you could lift the character up in the original Castlevania over, would you be able to see any of that area that we just came from? Because I feel like this, all of this stuff here has just been scooched over. Like, it's all the same. Because it's the same exact door in roughly the same place. Or maybe not. Maybe they just readjusted a few things. Because, like, it does let you target onto his arm. You never were able to do that in the other one. It was like chest or nothing. And he does the same thing. He jumps in the water, turns around, looks up at you, and then he runs away. So it's like, I think this is like just about the same spot. Because I had to have redesigned these levels a little bit, because it's like, in a way, you wouldn't want to have like anybody who bought the first game and played through it and they're like, yeah, this is just a rip-off. Like, it's the exact same game. Because it's like, objectively, you look at it, like, yeah, it's all like reused assets and everything, but it's like, I kind of wish that more dev companies would actually take a note of what they did here. Like, when you have like the budget that's coming up, and you've got like your investors and whatever that are breathing down your neck, Sage points to the right path. So yeah, he's pointing that way. That's the correct path. So what we do is we go the opposite path, so that way we can get all of the cool swag. They even updated what the little switch blocks do and how they look. Am I gonna have the yep. There's the final power-up. Which really, it's like this, I think it's just about the same range as the whip. But like, even like how it's got that cool explodey flame on it, like the different power-ups or the different versions of the power-up you have change the animations for what's going on. So I think this actually flings out. Oh yeah, it flings up on more than one. So one of these is gonna break. That's the one. And that's not it. So we're gonna. There we go. Because, like, this level in itself is so much better in this version than it is the other one. Like, you can hear, like, the little, like, in the background. You can hear the drums and a little bit of music playing. Which, honestly, I feel like it shouldn't be there. You know, like, that's what I liked about the original one, was that, like, it's named the Forest of Silence. So, there really shouldn't be any music playing. It should just be quiet. Sure, I'll take the axe. But, like, in this one, all of the puzzles and everything is different. And it's not like when you play as Carrie and Reinhardt, for example, and it goes back to the way that it was before. Like, it actually, it stays, like, these levels are all exactly the same. And the switches being more descriptive, like, for making hidden footholds appear, like, okay, I guess. So, like, in this way, it's kind of teaching you, like, hey, you know, you need to be paying attention to switches because, like, you're gonna need to use them to make things happen. Which is kind of neat. Like, interesting design choice. And also, like, this whole bit here where you're like, there's a hole in the wall. And I'm pretty sure there's gonna be, yep, some exploding skeletons. And also the ghouls that come out of the ground and grab your feet. Like there's so much better quality. Like when you give them a little bit extra time to see what kind of cool stuff a development team can get through. I'm not sure what the budget was for this game though. Like I'm actually really curious about that to begin with. Like what the budget was for the original Castlevania 64. Like what was that like? Because the game itself, like there really wasn't a whole lot like in terms of the development team itself. Oh, fuck off. No, goodbye. Please climb up. Oh, okay, so it switches, you can switch it back and forth out of auto view, which is nice. It's a very good thing. Alright. That's a knife, I don't want that. Should definitely save, though. Is that another boss fight, or is that something else entirely? Or did I just, like, bypass? I apologize for, like, this just showed up a second ago. And it's really frustrating. Wow, I've already made it through. It's not a very long level at all. Oh, he's a lightning skeleton now. And then he jumps and makes a shockwave. Like, it's pretty cool. Like, they really put some extra features into this one that made it feel a lot better. Oh. So you can see that, like, his arm fell off, but if you watch his hand, it follows the exact movements of the hand that he's still got. So, like, it might have fallen off of, like, the actual skeleton itself, but it's still mapped to whatever the initial, like, the full body's animations are doing. And I always thought that was really... I never understood it. But then after I went to school for game design, I started noticing a few things that really just objectively ruined games for me. And it's still, like, it's a treat when you see some of these things. Hey, you know what? Forget it. We're going wolf mode. Like I said, you don't, half the time, you really don't need to use the werewolf mode, but it does so much damage that it's like, when you use it, you want to be sure you want to use it. Or at the very least, make sure you're capped out on gems before a boss fight, because it literally takes a boss that's already kind of difficult, but when you're playing as Cornell, you are so much stronger than any of the other characters. And I think that's kind of what they were going for anyways, because they wanted it to be like, get through the game and learn how it works first with this character, then you can play it again with these other characters that you're used to, but it's going to be more of a challenge when you get to use your old characters again. Which is cool, because both Carrie and Reinhardt got a, they got a new costume in this, so like their original costumes, I believe you can unlock. And this is just like the exact same cutscene as before, but they just swapped Reinhardt with Cornell. But it's supposed to be like a fun nod. But this is new. He am evil boy now. He am evil taco. That's kind of a leap. No, no, not the devil, just Dracula. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Me and my power pants are going this way. Ortega, come back. I wish to have tacos. Now, this is a cool change, though. Like, they changed these doors to, like, you have to go through both, but one you can only open in the day, one you can only open at night. So they changed the day and night to be at the bottom as opposed to the top. So you get to choose what, like, depending on how well you did in the first level, you get to pick which door or which side of this tower you want to go in. You still have to do both. But now you get to have a little more autonomy over it. These damn bats. Just climb up here and... It still does the little skip, skip, skip to Maloo. You're running up the stairs and you just jump. They skip. I don't know why. But I love it. Oh no. Okay, I survived. Skip, skip, skip to Maloo. Skip, skip, skip to Maloo. Skip, skip, skip to Maloo, skip to Maloo. My darling. Skippity, skippity, skip. That was bad. All right. Let's do that again, except this time no falling. Ow. So I think like the first power-up increases the range, but the second one that you get increases the damage that you do. Because it takes, fully powered up, it takes 2 hits to kill those boneheads. But with only 1 power-up, it takes 3 hits. So usually, ooh, yeah, I want to get crushed by that. I'll grab the moon card on the way. No. No, just do it now, or your ADD brain will never forgive you. Take that. And I missed, so let's go around the horn again. Come on now. I don't have time to wait. Woo. Hey. Sure, let's save. And get some chicken while we're at it. Snakes? some chicken. You know what? We'll go beef. I think beef is okay. Hurry up and grab all of the cool items here. It's a really good resupply, or just like an initial supply of items here. Because I'm pretty sure initially it's like you still have the vendor that you can talk to, but I don't know if it's in this game or not. Or if you can use it as Cornell. Chicken! That's right. So you gotta do one side first. Oh, I'm already at 99. I'm completely wasting my time picking those up. So if I'm not mistaken, you come over here and there's a phone there. And there's an actual 3D spinning item that's sitting there. It's not a, it's not just a PNG. Which, honestly, kinda neat. Did I... Not money here now. Only sand and gravel and flat icons. Right. So if you do it fast enough, you can get here just in time to climb up the Sun Tower once. And then you jump down, you can grab the lever, and then climb back up, which is weird because now there's extra things. Like, now that I've already climbed up the first time, there's extra bricks that are going back and forth. I never noticed that before. There was only one. Oh, that's right. Whoops. Gave me a nice close shave. Perhaps it'll work now. Yes, I would like to use that. that out of the way, I can jump back down here. Just in case I thread the needle of failure here and jump down the wrong hole. Like that! Exactly why I saved. Exactly why I saved. Because I do that all the fucking time. Now I can go through the grandma door, which is a same exact thing as before, except now everything is all busted to hell. And I'm pretty sure now is where it's going to start breaking. Yep. And it's showing you that those platforms spin around, and now there's spikes. Epic gamer moment. Blades? Okay. I'm fine with it. Boss again? Or nope. Okay, sweet. Right, because initially that's where you see Dracula for the first time. He's like, "Oh ho ho, look at me. I'm super cool." Maybe it is gonna play a cutscene anyway. Huh, I guess not. The axe can stay there. Purifying. Ba-da-da-da! Level 2 is done. Again, exact same animation as before. Left, right. Do a turn. Look. Slow. Bats, and you can see a dog on the other side. There's roast beef. It's exactly the same in some places, but it's like they finished the rest of the game first. Bad puppy. Bad puppy. And here comes the dim, dark, and here comes the Hellhound. I'm pretty sure this is that up till that point, like that's about where it stays. Like they swapped a few things around on Castle Wall. But this is where it starts getting interesting because like there's no longer like for Cornell's Jesus, please let me be able to see. Cool, thank you. Action, battle. Now there's a switch. There's multiple switches here. I think that's the right. Yep. So like now you don't have to wait until a certain time of night in order to be able to get in here. It's like you have to come out here and solve a puzzle. I don't remember what it was, but I'm pretty sure it was something like the image of a rose in a stone on a fountain. Oh yeah, I don't know what's going on there. But initially you had to like there was nothing to do with that. But I think in order to progress this area, you have to lift that up so that way you can actually get up to the top. And there's still a vampire cutscene I see. Boom. I beat him. Top tier, thrilling combat. Servants' quarters still locked. Nope, you can just walk right in. I believe it's the other door once we get out here that this is locked. Lots of purifyings. Can you use that to cure your werewolf? Cures the curse of vampirism. Okay. It's hard to take the game seriously once you see shit like that. So you can just walk right in and get right to the garden maze. Mudman. I can't remember if the, yeah, that's right. So where I was earlier on the fountain, I would have waited just a moment before I continued, I would have been able to grab the key out of the stone rose. And if you're wondering why I'm jumping, it's because it makes you moderately faster only for a minute. Like, it gives you a slight... Like, the diagonal up makes you go forward a bit faster. I wonder if I'm going to be able to actually go get that rose. Or get the key first without having to use a card. Because it's still technically morning. It's morning until it's noon. I guess not. So let's go down and use a moon card. Well, I know right where I need to go and what I need to do. And you can see this cool little tidbit. It's raining. In the first Castlevania for 64, it only rained once. One time. And that is when you first show up the very first night. It never rains again. I mean, granted, you're not outside all that much, but, you know, the spots that you are, it's kind of cool that they show that it does rain again. Archives key. Ooh. Can I still break the chandelier? Yep. There we go. Yes, so you do have to go through the Rose Garden first, which is why they have it framed that way. Because originally it was you had to go through this entire area first, and then only afterwards, when you get to the Rose Garden and whatnot, that's when you're able to move on from there. Just a minute, my phone's complaining because it needs some juice. And as per usual, you can never plug in a USB right the first. There we go. Sorry about that. I might as well save while I'm at it. So now I just realized something from the last time that I was playing this. Let me get that out of the way. I remembered I was talking about a story that I had actually just realized that I never, like, finished. Because I was looking through and trying to do clips from last night. And there was a story that I was going on about my brother and I having, like, a rivalry with the Symphony of the Night game. And I had mentioned how, like, he dunked on me for playing Castlevania 64 because he had Symphony of the Night, and that was so much better. And I'm like, you know, I enjoyed them both for what they are. Because to me, it's like Castlevania's Castlevania, except for Judgment. That game doesn't exist. But so what I was getting at with it is we had the rivalry going back and forth while we were playing that game, and while we were getting through that, like I said, I was playing 64. I got to the boss, and I had already beaten it, but I was beating it on a different character, being on hard mode or whatever. And then I was like, hey, you know, like, since you're never going to play this game, like, all the way through, you want to just beat the boss to say that you did it? And he was like, yeah, sure. Like, how do I play it? And I'm like, okay, all you got to do is jump and, like, hit this button, and, you know, you're good. So he did that. He beat the game. It was all well and good. And he was like, you know, like, I beat your game. You know, it wasn't even hard. So, like, that was a good chuckle. We had a good time with that. But, so the rivalry with Symphony of the Night was a little bit different. He was a cutthroat in the nicest way I could possibly say it when it came to that game. If he figured something out, he would not, for the life of me, or for the life of him, he would not divulge how he did it. If he ever got a leg up on me in any game we were playing, like, together, he wouldn't tell me how he did it. Like, maybe a hint, but he would let me stew on it for days. And he was actually the first one to beat Symphony of the Night. Like, well, you know, it's been out long enough. He was the first one to beat Symphony of the Night. However, we had a rivalry going back and forth about, like, okay, you know, like, well, we beat it, or, like, I beat it, and we just need to figure out, like, where all the items are, because, like, there's, like, we would scroll through the item list, and it's like, they would not let you just sit there and hold down in, like, your equipable items inventory for as long as you could without there being that many items. So that's what we were doing, like, killing every enemy, going to the library, double checking that the enemies could be killed, exploring the castle as much as possible. And we had just about scoured everything from the first version of the castle, like the initial one you get into. And it was so cool because his character, or his save file, had, like, so much better stuff. He had better weapons, he had, like, different armor and whatever. And he actually found out, like, how to, for some reason, he was able to, like, get the doors open on the clock tower, or, like, in the clock room in the very beginning. He was able to figure that out. And he was able to go in, and I think he found, like, the Alucard sword, like the fake Alucard gear, and all of that other good stuff, going up, beating the Orlocks. Orlocks? I don't know. The guy that sat at a table was like, sit down, I'm going to be a giant lizard now. That guy. So we go through that for probably, like, months. And then, like, he beat the game, he kept beating it, and he's like, I feel like there's something else, but he's like, he just couldn't figure it out. And then one day, I was sick. Like, genuinely, I was throwing up, and, like, he went to school, and, well, this is weird. Why am I not able to grab this? Engraved on a stone on the fountain. Am I supposed to hit this in the right order here? Anyway, while I'm figuring this out, so I was sick. He went to school, and I sat and I played Symphony of the Night while he was at school that day. And in the process, I was going through the items, like trying to double check if maybe we missed something. And turns out that, like, there was the gold ring, I think, and the silver ring that says where clock, and then the other one says in tower. And it's like he never thought about putting those on and going in there. I think I might have gotten something mixed up when I was talking before, but anyways, like, it was like finding out that you could go to this new area, and that's when, like, I explored a little bit, then, like, finding the echolocation of the bat, and then finding the spike breaker armor in the very bottom, like, of the catacombs, like the deepest part of the castle, because, like, there was this the spot where, like, you couldn't get that far. And then what ended up happening was I figured that out and went through, you know, that section of the game and ended up encountering Maria, then finding out about, you know, she gives you the holy goggles. And I go up into the throne room to fight Richter, but I had the holy goggles on this time, which was just like, it was, you know, whoa. And when I found out there was another castle, like, when he came home from school, I was just like, I'm still nauseous, I'm not feeling well, and I'm like, you're not gonna believe this. He's like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Like, did you find something in there? And I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, there's another castle. And he was like, shut up. And I'm like, yeah, there is. And being the nice brother that I am, I saved and I shut it off. And I showed him how to get to it, because I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, there is no way that I would be that rotten to, like, you know, let the rivalry get in between it. Like, you are gonna get to this castle and we're gonna, like, finding out that you get done playing a game that you've been playing for just months. I mean, months and months. Like, in terms of, if you've never played it, or like you've never had a game do that to you, like, I think like the equivalent of that, the way that game had just a grip on him and I at that time, would be like if you... What the hell? All right. If you were playing Elden Ring, and everything that you did in that game, all of the weapons, all of everything that game is, right? You get all the way to the end, and then you find out that there was this one little cave that's down in that, like the starry place, deep underground. There's just this little nook and little cranny that's just around the corner, like behind a bush or something, like that had an invisible wall. And then you break it, and then you just find like a pair of goggles, let's just say for the sake of argument. There's just a pair of goggles. And then when you put them on, it turns out that when you go to fight the final boss, it's not the final boss. There's something controlling that boss. And then you beat it. And then it goes from there to You walk through a portal, and the entire map of Elden Ring, the entire lands between, is now flipped. Like, not necessarily upside down, because that's hard to do in a 3D setting, but like, everything is reversed. Everything has been, like, palette swapped. And now everything is twice as hard. Like, you're just about at level cap playing it, or like by the time you beat it, you're like, what, like 75 or 100, you know, and I think that's probably just, that's a bit much. But like, you get done beating that, and then the entire, and it's like, you have to fully explore the whole map again, but backwards. With brand new enemies, brand new bosses, and every single boss chamber that are completely different than the last one that you fought. That's what that was like. That was... I have yet to play a game that did what Symphony of the Night did to me, and I'm sure he has as well. That game had just a chokehold on both of us. And like, I'm sure of it. I'm sure there are still, to this day, there are still some items that are in that game that are hidden. The image of a rose is engraved in a stone on the fountain. So it's supposed to be the morning sun. It's like you come out here in the morning and it'll pop open. That's what I thought it was anyway. I think I do have to go through the maze. Like, there's another path that I haven't taken to get through that the rest of the way. But yeah, it was such a novel thing because, like, when in terms of the amount of enemies that you would have to fill the game up with in order to do that twice, like, you wouldn't need that many. And the cool bit that I liked, once, like, I did some game dev and I found it out, like, the hue shift on all of the original, like, set pieces, like, all they did was take the chromatic value and they grabbed the lever on, like, the whole palette and just went bloop and just shifted everything over a little bit, changed the color of nearly everything, and just flipped the sprites upside down. All the collisions exactly the same. All of the breakable items is exactly the same. They just put new shit in all of it. And it is such a cheap way to have made the game twice as long. And to be fair, like, when you play Symphony of the Night, it's a pretty long game. Like, even if you don't go through, like, the second castle, like, a blind playthrough of that game, not ever really, like, playing anything of its like before, or even just being relatively... That was a snake. Being relatively new to the genre as a whole. Like, it's still a long game. It's pretty tough. But then to find out towards the end of it that it's like... Fucking skeletons on motorcycles, man. Where do you get gas? Is it powered by hate? Is it powered by my hate? Because I hate it. Anyway, it's still like a pretty long game and a difficult one at that. If you're not, like, really used to playing it, I should say. Because, like, me, I love the 2D platformers. Like, oh, hello, boys. Rose Garden key. So in order to get in there, it's like Morning Sun has to blah 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 on that thing. But I really have enjoyed. Oh, it's locked from the other side. Okay. I enjoyed the way that like Symphony of the Night had done it, because it really added such a profound way of playing a video game. Like I have yet to play a game that has done what, as I said before, what Symphony of the Night has done. And there's always part of me that's like secretly hoping that I will see that again one day. Like, because my absolute favorite thing to do in that game was like you go through, you grind your levels, you get powerful, you know, you find the familiars, you level up, you goof around with button combos, and you secretly figure out spells, and there was just so much to explore, and you never really wanted to stop playing it. Like, even now, it's so fun, even at a, like, the 200.1 or 0.8% completed. When morning sunlight reflects off a red rose, the enclosed jewel shall be set free. Okay, so I have to go to the rose garden, get a red rose, and I'm probably going to get it from maybe Rosa? Look at those slithery boys. Secretly hoping and wanting there to be another game that comes by and does what Symphony of the Night did, because the way that it did it was so natural, and I don't think anybody really has like the wherewithal to make that sort of thing happen again. And it's sad. I hate that. I hate knowing that we're probably never gonna have a game like that again that has that ability. I mean, even Bloodstained, for example, like that, knowing that he was making that game, and it's like, you know, he's no longer with Konami, to my knowledge, at least at the time of, you know, this. He's no longer there. He's like, we're never gonna get an Igvania again. Doubtful. Maybe. I hope. Everybody hopes. But I doubt it. Well, Bloodstained comes out, and like, I've played it. I've played it through. It's a good game. It's just, you can't do Castlevania without the Castlevania lore. Like, it doesn't work. It doesn't feel right. I mean, at least to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just... Maybe I'm just kind of, boomer? I don't know. I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping I'm not being a boomer with this, because it's the truth. Like, I genuinely don't want that to be the truth. But as I played through Bloodstained, like, I genuinely enjoyed it for what it was. I loved the whole theme of it. It was fun. It was engaging. The main protagonist, she was cute as a button, but also tough as nails, which I appreciate a lot. Like, strong female protagonists that are, like, not just like an overtly sex symbol, you know, like, give us more Samus. Like, she's beautiful, but she's also fucking brutal. Like, come on, you know, give us more of that. You don't always have to be a butch buff guy and, you know, like, oh, a dainty flower of a girl. You know, like, you can make a tough female protagonist and have it work. But, it just, the game itself, like, it felt like he was dancing as close to the edge of Castlevania as he could get without it being there. And it's like, it just, I felt like it fell flat. And it just wasn't really all that enjoyable. Like, it was good for a one-time playthrough, but like, I was really, really hoping to see from Bloodstained the castle flip. But then it's like it's just a button or an ability that you use that makes you flip around and walk on the ceiling, and I'm like, okay, well, we're not getting that. Like an extra credit side story. And like I kind of get the fact that you have the thorn key. Oh, cool. It actually like poofed off. That was cool. When I saw that, like the whole castle flip not happening, it was like, okay, well, it's just not gonna happen, Like, I genuinely hope to be wrong. I want nothing more than to be wrong about this. I'm telling you, I need a drink. Come on, Mary. Oh, didn't see you standing there. I can smell her. I said I don't know her, and I mean it. Anyway, I'm thirsty now, so wait a minute. You'll do just nicely. What? Why, your warm blood, of course, which is the wet mind, blah, 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 blah. The more you hit him, the more money he drops. I'm pretty sure that's how robberies work. Anyway, so I want nothing more than to just be wrong about the whole, like, Bloodstained not being, themed for Castlevania, because, like, I know he did a Kickstarter with it, and it, like, objectively, it turned out beautiful. Like, it was a very well done game. I'm not a fan of 2.5 3D, where it's 3D models locked to a 2D plane, and it felt like it felt like default Unreal Engine platformer. Like, if you were to just, like, boot up a 2D platformer in Unreal and then just move back and forth, like, there wasn't really any camera tweaking that was, like, noticeable. It, like, from the default, it felt kind of, like, basic. There wasn't anything that really, like, made me feel like this is, like, this. It didn't make me feel like the guy who made Castlevania great was like, fuck those guys, I'm gonna make one better with blackjack and hookers. It just felt like, I'm just gonna make one, and here you go. Like, which is kind of sad that it made me feel that way, because genuinely the Curse of the Moon, like the NES demakes that his team and him put out, those felt more like Castlevania than Bloodstained did, and I don't know why the fuck that is. It bothers me. I wish it wasn't so, but it is. I'm the wife of that vampire. Yes, the vampire Old Ray is my son. Or my husband, not my son. I'm getting tired. There's a man named Gilderai and a woman, actress. So he used to be such a good man after he became a vampire, coming after me, even our son Henry. Oh. But how could I leave Henry behind? Can I ask you a favor? Help my little Henry escape from here. Henry is hiding near the entrance to the garden. If you go out the east gate, you can escape through the forest. Stranger. Why don't you just go with him? Like, you're just gonna sit here and... Ooh, level 3. Like, seriously, go with your son. You don't have to stay here. Whatever, I'll take your key. Later, loser. But like, and I've felt that way for a while. Like I beat Bloodstained. I think it was probably in 2019 or no, when did it come out? I think it was 2020 or before that. I don't know. It wasn't that long ago. It was a year or so ago that I beat it. Anyway, storeroom is locked. Fuck off, fuck off, fuck off. You did. And like the whole time I was playing it, I was waiting for it to do the I don't know the name of it, but like you can tell when like a game... Oh, storeroom key. How about that? When it like pops off or like the game opens. There's a stylish sofa. How the fuck can I have this make sense? Like in Breath of the Wild, when you get off the Great Plateau, that game just goes, it opens. Like it's just whoosh, you know, it's good up until that point. But once you hit that moment, it's just boom. It opens up and you're just like, sparkles in your eyes. Like everything is incredible. And I never really got that feeling with Bloodstained. It never had, like, it was always like it was on the cusp of doing something cool. But it never really made it there until, like, the very end, and even then it was kind of flat. And I don't know, maybe... blah, 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 blah. I must prepare all the gravestones. Oh, I already figured that out. So... I probably should play it again, considering it's been so long since I've played it. And honestly, it was good. It was quite good, and maybe it's just because I was more salty about the fact that it's not Castlevania, and didn't really like play it and appreciate it for what it was. I don't know. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's probably the... Maybe that's the issue that I was having with it. Is that I looked at it too much like it was supposed to be a replacement for Castlevania when it's never going to be. Like, it's not the same IP. It's the same dude. It's the same, like, team, but it's never going to be that game because Konami has all the fucking rights to the shit, and we will not get that until they decide that we're blessed enough that they can step away from their precious pachinko machines to actually give us something. I mean, like, they're making another Silent Hill. They're remaking Silent Hill 2, and my fingers are fucking crossed for that. Very much crossed, because honestly, that game moved me emotionally in ways I cannot express. the way that it dealt with his internal struggle and the turmoil after his wife's death, like, just, it's so... It hits close to home. Let's put it that way. It hits really close to home. And I hope it's great. I don't care if they change up some of the game mechanics. I don't care if they scramble up the way that you access some of the things. All I genuinely hope for Silent Hill 2 is that they keep the story 100% exactly the same. Do not change the story beat. Everybody on that fucking team needs to sit down and they must play Silent Hill 2, whether it's the garbage ass remake where all the voice actors have changed, or it's the original, preferably the original, considering y'all are the company, you should probably have those things on hand. So, play that. Everybody is required to beat it. You are required by company policy to beat this game. You don't have a choice. And then you get to work on the story. You must. So you must know exactly one-to-one how everything looks, how everything feels, the way it made you feel, the way that it plays. 1-to-1. That's what I would like to see. Ah, fuck it. We'll just buy nothing but med kits. There we go. But like, after everything that I think you can reasonably feel with Castlevania, or with Symphony of the Night, I should say. Like, you play games that are like this, and it's like I think it would be incredible. Like, now that I'm, speaking of Silent Hill and Castlevania at the same time, like, I think it would be incredible to see copper door. It is locked. Did I not? Maybe I grabbed a different key, and now I have to, go find her son first. I would love to see a mix between, Silent Hill style and Castlevania. Like, give us the action combat, but, like, the actual horror of spelunking through a fucking castle that's filled with monsters and vampires, mythological beasts, the puzzle solving. Like, why not that? Like, I think people would fucking love that. I know I would. And make the bitch flip upside down. Flip it on its head. Make it flip itself. There better be two versions of the same castle. Like, it's all the same assets. For those of you out there who don't know, when it comes to game engines, within reason, I should say, the moment you load a single asset into a game engine and you have it playing and rendering out, the only amount of memory necessary to render that object is, no matter how many times you duplicate it, and again, within reason, probably wrong, because when I learned this, it was a while ago. Things are probably different, but it only ever needs enough memory for the very first, like, 000 instance of the object. I could have 15 Cornells on the same screen right now, and all the memory it would take is just the one. Just the first one that was loaded in is all the memory it needs. Now, processing power requires, it's a different story, but in terms of storage, you only need the one. Everything else is just, you know, like embellishment, and things get kind of weird. But again, I might be wrong, but if you've got an entire castle loaded up with assets, it should not take that much more to load it up the rest of the way, or at least flip it over. Because, like, I've got on my Xbox, and I would love to play them on stream, but, like, I know for a fact the first Lords of Shadow has a instance of the female demon with a extremely exposed chest, and it is literally an unskippable cutscene. So it's like, that is not a game I would be able to get away with playing on stream. That is like, that would have to be a YouTube episodic type of thing, which I'm not opposed to doing, but I would definitely play it on easy mode, because, like, those games should be fun, and playing it on hard mode is just like, let's see how well I can push buttons, and it's like not enjoying the story. Oh, there we go. All my rambling, and I finally found the right way. The Lords of Shadow 2, I have never played that, but I don't know if there's any, like, booby nudity in it. And I would genuinely love to know that. If there is or isn't, because, like, I was initially... Rose brooch. So now I put this brooch on the statue. Oh, it's the snakes. Okay. Because I've always enjoyed it. Like, No, that was a different thought. Let me rewind that back. Hello. Goodbye. So, the very first time that I played Lords of Shadow was on the 360, and I was so excited for it. I was like, oh my god, finally, like, seeing the trailer for it, and like the little, like, the kill cam animations and stuff, where I'm like, oh, like, I was misty and juicy for this game. I was ready for it. And then when I finally played it, I got to the end and I beat it, and I was so mad. I was so mad at it. And the reason why is because, like, that I was coming off the tail end of, again, Symphony of the Night. And this was, like, extremely linear. Like, the levels were, like, you select the level, and then you go into the level. And I'm like, Castlevania is about free form, like, load into an area and explore this castle to your heart's content. Not, like, level to level weird loading, and then, like, you're I'll just finish my thought before I get, become Ramble Man again. So, after I beat it, the words out of my mouth were, it is like Shadow of the Colossus and God of War had a bastard child. If you were to take the name Castlevania off of this game and call it something else, it would have been fantastic. There was very little castle, very little Vania, but there was a lot of climbing, which I thought was kind of, like, ridiculous, because, like, Shadow of the Colossus is a fantastic game, but it's its own game. Going the right way. Now I need to get out of the maze, and because I'm lost in my thought, I'm not paying attention to where I'm going. There. Now it'll actually load a little bit faster. But after playing it and seeing how the game was like, I guess, going, I'm like, this isn't what I thought it was gonna be. Oh, nice to know those snakes can swallow, you know, 1,200 gold. Like the climbing and stuff, like it's a beautiful game, wonderfully voice acted. Sir Patrick Stewart, treat, absolute treat. The I can't remember the name of him, but the guy who did the voice acting for Gabriel Belmont, phenomenal. You know, like having him be a little Scottish or Irish or whatever you want to, however you want to go at it. Jesus Christmas. Okay. Oh, cool. There goes all of my crosses. Level 3 cross replaced by a knife. Sweet. Anyway, the voice acting and, like, the storytelling of it was really good. And I enjoyed it for what it was. Afterwards, I'm like, I had a good time playing the game, but I was, you know, again, I was salty. I was quite salty over the fact that it's like, I just want my Castlevania. That's what I want. I want to be a dude whipping shit, eating chicken. And it's like the action combat of it, where it's like, the moment that you go from like having the combination of attacks to be like, in order to beat this game, you have to like, this is a nitpick, absolutely a nitpick, but I am so fucking sick of quick time events, and I am so glad they fell off. I'm so glad they fell off like a wart in the sunlight, man. I am just happy that quick time events have disappeared and moseyed on into the sunset, because they weren't fun when they showed up, they weren't novel when they became the normal, and it's just been ridiculous. It's been entirely too much effort, too much annoyance to go through everything that you do in a boss fight, only to be watching a cutscene and you set the controller down because your hand is fucking cramping, and then you have a quick time event pop up just in time for you to die. I mean, that was poetic, but you know what I mean. Like, oh man, poof, you know, like the fucking God of War, you know, like you just beating the shit out of your controller, spamming A, the fucking Dragon Ball Z where you gotta spin the control stick and shit. Like, it was such an obnoxious thing. But then, after you got used to it, it's like, oh, you know, like you get the muscle memory for, you know, playing games or whatever, and it's like, no, this is not fun. This is not fun. My game should not have this much difficulty in it. It should be an enjoyable experience. There should be a mode of like, and I know some games do it now, and like some diehards, you know, like, well, fucking baby mode. Like, no, like some people are just like, I have enough shit to worry about. I have enough stress. Like, I worked at Walmart for a year, pushing carts. That shit sucked. When I came home from work, my fucking wrists were swollen. My fingers, if I picked up a controller and held it, I tried playing Dark Souls 3 at that time, and I could not fucking play it. Because every time that I came home from work, I tried to pick up my controller, and same thing I'm doing here. I'm hitting this button to attack. And every time, my fingers would go numb. There are some times when you are, you know, an adult, you want to play a game, you don't want it to be too fucking ridiculous. You want there to be a relatively easy mode. You want there to be some fun. You don't want to have all this crazy shit happening. Like, this is simple, you know? I'm just running, jumping, whipping shit, eating chicken. Granted, I don't have a whip, but I will soon enough. Oh, cool, I grabbed the gold before it despawned. I should probably eat. And, like, after playing Lords of Shadow, it's, like, only afterwards, because I recently picked it back up, like, a couple months ago, and because I've got Game Pass, and I saw that it was on there, and I'm like, oh, cool. So I'm like, Lords of Shadow 1, Lords of Shadow 2, Mirror of Fate 2, I think. Like, it was just this whole suite of them all together, and I'm like, absolutely. Like, I will load them all up, because it's like, I know I love Castlevania, but I beat Lords of Shadow 1, I've never played Lords of Shadow 2, and I didn't have a 3DS. So, no Mirror of Fate. Either one of them. I know they're like, you know, Like, they're definitely a Castlevania game, but it's like a 2.5D action combat, which is like Lords of Shadow. But, like, it is what it is, you know, like, you can't help it. That's just what the genre turned into, and it's like, okay, you know, whatever, bueno. So here we are. Now, playing through the majority of the games, okay, I have both crests, but I'm pretty sure I have to go... No, I can get back to the manor from this point. I think. Nope, that's the exit. So I follow this way out. It's so weird because I was playing the first one, and it's like I have it memorized from the back door. The back door of this place, I've got it kind of memorized. Here we go. Locked from the other side. That's that way. Oh no. I smell a child. Glad I went through and did all my exploring before this bit, so now I just have to follow the story. But, like, Lords of Shadow's story was fantastic. Like, it genuinely was. I'm not a fan of the way that they redid the... It's like parallel, or not so much parallels to this side story, because, like, Alright, yeah, come on, let's go. Very trusting child. Wow. Excuse me. Henry's rescue attempt. Careful that Henry doesn't receive too much damage. He dies and the game is over. Henry's health gauge cannot be restored. Unable to follow. Henry can't climb high land formation. The other side of Henry. Follow the arrow on screen to find him. Message at door during Henry's rescue. I cannot leave Henry behind. Come on, Henry. Come along, child. Well, at least they don't have, like, the gargoyles. The gargoyle dogs. Sit down, buddy. Shit, that's not the right way. I missed it. Whoa! There we go. Come on, Henry. There. Now I can go back to Mom and tell her that, hey, your son has just walked into the Shut the door! God, you're getting chased by Frankenstein's monster with a chainsaw arm. Shut the door! Shut the door! Shut the door! Wear this necklace. The wolves will watch out for you. What will become of Mama? Well, she's gonna get the suck. And Father, he's gonna be giving the suck. Mama really could have walked out here with me the whole time. Mama didn't sacrifice nothing. She's still sitting in the doorway of the Rose Garden of Death. So, to finalize that whole bit, Lords of Shadow was good. I don't mind the action combat, but in order for me to get my Castlevania fix in today's day and age of games, I have to load up Elden Ring, open Spotify, put on a Castlevania playlist, and just play that game using a whip. That's how I can play an up-to-date Castlevania game. And that's it. That's all I can really do. Listening to songs from games that are good. There is, like, Lament of Innocence. Fantastic game. Curse of Darkness. I think that's it. Curse of Darkness? This is... Yeah, this is Legacy of Darkness. The difference between a Nintendo 64 game and a PlayStation 2 game of Castlevania is curse and or legacy. Thank you. Both white-haired protagonists. Remember that. Lament of Innocence, I believe they had it re-released on PlayStation 3. Curse of Darkness, I don't know if they have. Hey Mom, your kid's in the woods. There you go. I can't thank you enough. Now I'm just gonna stay here and get murdered by my husband. See what I did there, husband? Open up the storeroom. Yeah, let's save. But what I genuinely wish would happen for the future of the series as a whole is I would like to see them kind of, first of all, make some fucking games. Let's just get that out of the way. I would like to see them release some games, and honestly, I would like to see them like get back to like this as a whole, like this. The way this game and also Castlevania 64 play, like it's a little bit of a platformer. You know, I get it. You're not gonna get that. Is there no more Frankenstein? Does he not care about me anymore? Oh, I lifted the bar. I just gotta figure out where the copper door was. I'd like to see them do a little bit more like actual horror and like atmospheric. Because, like, in the way that the original Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2, and I suppose 3, I mean, 4 has its bits. It's not bad. But the way that those games work is that it's not as much... Oh, there we go. It's not as much about the action. Like, there is combat in it, sure. But it's more of, like, psychological horror. It's... There's some weirdness that goes on. Is there screen tearing? I hope it doesn't stay that way. It'll do. It's fine. Boss fight! Boss fight. Like this moment right here, this genuinely, yeah, you're not sucking my blood, buddy. This little bit here, the moment that it's like, woo, boss, that genuinely scared me. If only for a moment, because it's like, I wasn't expecting it. Oh, But up until this point, like exploring this and again, I'm partial to this level because it's the first time where it's like in the game where there's not really a whole lot of enemies and you're just kind of sitting here walking around in like this relatively spooky setting. Like there's just vampires. There's vampires in many different places. Knock knock, who's there? It's me. Doodle-ding. Ba-da-bum-bum. This is what I mean. There is no reason this level should be where it is in the lineup. Like, the outer wall should absolutely show up first after the castle wall itself. Because it's legitimately like the same exact theming as the other bit. I think it's funny. But like this is genuinely freaking spooky. Because like you're going around and like you hear a little bit of music going where you're like, okay, so what am I doing? Like it sounds kind of heroic. But we just went from like a very calm droning tracks with just a couple notes of piano. Not really a whole lot of anything else happening. And you're just kind of exploring this spooky little mansion and you're alone for the most part. Like even in the first one, you know, Vincent's there, so he's a Chad. But like you go through that and then eventually you end up here, or, you know, like the Lizard Man Tower, which is the other place you could go. Which I believe is dependent on the time of... Ooh. That does break. I just wanted to break it, okay? I'm sorry. But going from, like, that shift in tone to this, it's cool. It's cool when you go from like you're having to deal with other people. You know, there's the kids that you could potentially be dealing with. You gotta save the boy Henry. Then you run into, you know, the old man, and he's like, "Oh, I want a drink of my wife," which is, you know, whatever. It's his prerogative. It's his wife, but maybe not so much as a vampire. And that's horrifying. So, not really talking to a whole lot of people, not doing very much. And you're just kind of alone. That's a really interesting feeling, because up until this point, it's like you're in, at least in the first one, you're alone in the forest. It's called the Forest of Silence, so it's quiet. There's no music. You're there. There's just a slight touch of dialogue. I don't know what Carrie says when she shows up, but I do know that, like, when you play as Reinhardt, he's like, "Courage, don't leave me." And he sounds like an absolute, like, surfer dude. But, like, when you're playing it, that's the only dialogue you really hear, other than, like, the initial narrator, which is, you know, it's whatever. But that whole thing, shit. That whole thing sounds pretty cool. Because it's like, all right, you know, like it sets up the plot, lets you know what you're doing, where you're going, why you're there. I mean, obviously, we're here to eat chicken and whip shit. It's Castlevania. That's why I'm here. So once you go through with that, you can play as Carrie, and you know she's basically Sypha. You know, she's cast magic. So that's pretty neat. But like, it's quiet. You're by yourself. It's atmospheric. Like before, like the initial outburst of the game is like, it's quiet. You're alone. And you don't really know what's going on or what you're doing or why you're here, other than, you know, like I'm playing a game and it's whatever, but you don't really have your bearings about you. Which is genuinely an interesting thing. But like, is there a secret over here? No, there's just beef. Oof, okay. Because like when I played Silent Hill 2, I think the thing that outer wall, and it's locked, so I've got to find a key somewhere. The interesting part of that game that really just got me was how alone and oppressively alone you really felt throughout the entire game. Like it was. And if anybody lived in this castle and had to go grocery shopping and wanted to leave for a minute, it would take them for fucking ever to get back into the house. Where's the wall key? Oh, it's up on it's the outer wall. I'm gonna take an elevator, 15 elevators, go through a garden maze, ride a boat over the sea serpent. Like shit's fucking whack. But like you're walking around, it's foggy, and like you don't really know what's happening or why. And it's just spooky, eerie, unbelievably unsettling. But by the time you like figure things out and you get to where you need to go, like it starts to make a little more sense, just only slightly. Oof. But by the time you get a little bit farther along, and oh, rolling boulder. It eventually becomes like you're used to it. You're used to the oppressive silence and whatever else. You know, it's, I mean, obviously, you know, clues in the name, Silent Hill. It's going to be quiet. But there's nothing. Like, you run into people every now and then, and when you do, it's like there's a bit of music, there's a bit of dialogue. It's bright and cheery, and he's, you know, your character's saying like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" But you've got that going for it. Like with Castlevania, on the other hand, it's like it's themed around horror, and like reasonably, you're a protagonist going after a vampire who lives in a giant sentient castle, and it's hard rock and cheery. Like, don't get me wrong, like don't kill my vibe. Don't get rid of like the Castlevania music, because that shit's boss. But like these two games, what I appreciate them for is the fact that they went about it in a way that no game has really tried to do. They framed this in a, like... fell down. They framed it in a way that feels a bit like a B movie. Not B movie, but, you know, like a B rank movie. You know, cheesy, predictable bad guys and, you know, whatever else. But, like, the points in time when you're playing it and it's like there's spooky bits that are happening. The fact is, like, right before I got to the tunnels in the first one there. Shh, crap. Right, because I need to jump to the front of it. So, right before I got to the tunnels in the first one, when you're, like, the boss fight I just got done doing. After you beat that, and it's the vampire, like, he falls over and, you know, like, he gets engulfed in flames, and then the camera pans over, and it's like, blah, and it's just like a girl face, you know, like, blah, just spooky. I don't know if any games have really, like, done the jump scare thing. Like, I'm sure they have, but, like, not to my knowledge in this generation. Not many, anyway. I know Resident Evil did it, but it was like, kind of like, it was the slow burn of, like, the initial zombie, like, turning around and being like, you know, it was really fucking creepy. But, like, that being said, I haven't seen many of the Castlevania games really try to lean into the fact that it's supposed to be scary. It's usually just like, oh, this is an unsettling bit, and we're gonna give you a whip and a weapon, and you're just gonna beat shit up. Which, again, you know, all fairness, fun, very cool, but it's also, like, it's... You could flavor it differently. You really could. You could have a great time framing it in a horror setting and having it work. Like this one, it's like, it's really dated, so the odds of it being like a really good, like, bah, like, scary game is pretty slim. Whoops. Well, thankfully there's a cutscene, so it kicked me right out of my wolf form there. Harpy? Well, that wasn't hard at all. This girl is on fire. So I could have gone through the other way, and then the tunnels would have led me to this same exact point, which is the castle center, I'm pretty sure. No, that's right, it's different. this. Come on. $96.97? No, that can't be right. Let's save real quick, and let's fact check this. Legacy, dark. Holy crap! Apparently, according to eBay, this is a $150 game. I got it for 40 bucks. Let's see. Seriously? Well, now I'm gonna have to look up some things, because according to this, it's saying that the initial release date for this game was December 8th of 1999. Maybe that was Japan. What? It was released December 8th, 1999 in North America, but December 25th, 1999 in Japan. So it was released here first in the States, and then Japan. Now I have seen everything. That is wild. That is certainly something. I cannot believe that's actually how this works. Oh. However, I think this is probably a good time for me to actually call it, because I have got a lot of editing I'm gonna need to do tomorrow morning. It's probably gonna take me the better part of the day, because I've got to get through this stream and make sure that I get all the clips up where they need to go. And I think I'm about halfway through the stuff that I needed to do with last night's, well, night before last now, that stream. So I hope everybody had a good time listening to me ramble about things. I'm avidly passionate about Castlevania. I have no problem going through and playing a lot of these, because I have a good few of them, and I thoroughly enjoy every single one of them. Like, it's one of my favorite genres of game. They're just so much fun. But I hope everybody has a great night, and I haven't said it in a while, but I'll say it again. Take care of yourselves. You're doing fine. That's a new bit. And above all else, say it with me. Be kind. It's free. All right. Have a good night. Bye-bye.